Welcome on in, everybody. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Hope everybody's doing fantastic out there. Your Miami Heat, they win tonight, 111-105 in the vaunted in-season tournament. You had to know it because there was a wacky court out there. Although I will say, I thought this one was pretty sweet. I like the Hornets. I like their golden B. I like the everybody likes who doesn't like the Hornets colors, right? Like it's, you know, even back to the old starter jacket days, everybody loves the Hornets uniforms. It's one of those things. Like if you don't like the Hornets uniforms, there's something wrong with you. But cool court and all wasn't enough, as after a hot start tonight for the Hornets, where they were just, they were incredible from downtown. Mostly PJ Washington. I mean, he was unconscious today up until he needed to probably be the most conscious. And the Miami Heat end up pulling away and holding off the Hornets. But it got off to, a crazy start. And P.J. Washington just could not miss, dude. He was like lighting it up from downtown all over the place. He was like 4 of 4 in the first quarter from downtown. And that really was one of those things that was just keeping the Heat at bay. But then second quarter comes around. Haywood Highsmith was having none of that, dude. All right, this guy, he is breathtaking defensively. I mean, he's good. This man has people in hell, okay? It is a torture chamber. He had LaMelo Ball. This was like late in the game. This was like in the fourth quarter. And LaMelo Ball, like, he could do nothing with Haywood Highsmith and ended up throwing this fadeaway, this weak-ass fadeaway that did not even come close to touching rim because of what Haywood Highsmith and his filthy clamps were doing to LaMelo. LaMelo Ball needs a safe word around Haywood Highsmith. Like, I used to say this when it came to Gabe Vincent and Trae Young, that Trae Young needs a safe word around Gabe Vincent so he knows it's just been too much. Like, pineapple, just something that he knows the torture needs to stop. I would suggest that LaMelo Ball get a safe word for Haywood Highsmith because that's what he was doing to him there in that fourth quarter. But he had 2 rips in the second quarter, 12 points for him in that frame, and both of them ending up in dunks for him. There was just like something, I think Spo calls it karma of the game, just poetic that you get the rip and then like his teammates would find him for the dunk. And so just he really has just been impressive today with 12 points, 5 steals, 2 blocks, just an absolute menace, this Haywood Highsmith. I think the other big part of this, because a lot of people have been, you had the usual suspects, I think, show up today and do really good stuff, and we'll get into them in just a second. But to me, to be honest with you, the most important thing with today's game was Jimmy Butler. I thought that Jimmy Butler, who has been off to kind of a ho-hum start, it's not been bad. It's just looked like Jimmy Butler. He hasn't looked like Jimmy Butler. It's been like one of those things where it's like you can see he can still do his things. He'll get to the free throw line. He has that unbelievable will. I don't think there's a night on this planet Jimmy Butler couldn't will his way to 15 to 16 to 8, to 18 points. He could always do that. But he just looked so engaged from jump, and it was very, very noticeable. And so I would say tonight probably just looked like his cleanest game. He had that look on him immediately from jump. He was engaged. He was getting to the free throw line like crazy in this one. It was a season high 14 attempts for him. Season high 32 points for him. The only thing that you could probably hold up with this one's probably the Lakers game. And everyone's going to hold that game up because it's Lakers, it's high profile. So people will probably say, no, that was his best game of the season. But I would say that, just from start to finish, Jimmy looked like he had it from the first quarter on. The Heat were struggling a little bit defensively. He struggling a little bit offensively. He was not. And they needed it because they just couldn't buy a bucket. They needed to keep it close, which is what they did, which put it into striking distance. He also had this massive heave from half court. Bank was open and sent the Miami Heat into the half with a halftime lead. Then you come out of the third quarter. At this point, Bam Adebayo really had his takeover moment because he comes out of the break with 6 straight points, has this filthy just up and under layup, hitting that, beautiful fadeaway that we've become so accustomed to. Obviously, he's just been absolutely killing it. And it was a nice little back and forth between him and his former Kentucky Wildcat teammate, PJ Washington. Those two very close, and Bam, of course, with his homecoming game in North Carolina. And you can tell, like, PJ Washington wanted to try and give Bam Adebayo the business. Very pissed when the officials would call stuff on him and saying that Bam's hooking him. And, he got his moments against him too. PJ Washington was his best game of the season. He was killing it from downtown. He finished tonight with 32 points. He was just an absolute monster for the Hornets. The one thing that killed him, honestly, he had 2 really good looks in the fourth quarter with his team down 4. And if he would have hit one of them, would have made it a 1-point game. Both of them, they were not able to convert. And then Jimmy Butler really took it home from there with some big time jumpers. But yeah, Bam in this one looked really, really good in that third quarter. He came out aggressive, and it was funny to see. It was funny to see that. Now, the other funny thing in this third quarter was the fouling and some of the calls, because I'm doing this before. I don't know what Eric Spoelstra is going to say. I probably should have watched his press conference tonight, but you know what? Maybe I'll react to it tomorrow. Whatever. But Eric Spoelstra turned himself into a meme in this. This was one of the best meme games of the season for the Miami Heat, because you had 2 things that were hilarious. One, it was a block charge call. Spo uses his challenge. Kevin Love gets called for a foul. Spo thinks it was a charge, so they go to the replay. No, they don't go to it. They say unsuccessful challenge, and Kevin Love just has this look of disdain to the official. Was it Kevin Sarber, I think is the guy's name? Like Kevin Love was staring in disgust and disbelief that this foul was called, because it's Kevin Love. Kevin Love's one of the best of the league at taking charges, and that's if he and Eric Spoelstra obviously trusts his veterans in that case. And so he really was like, so he wasn't happy with that. Then Spo was getting upset with the officiating, because there were a few calls he was upset with. Kyle keep getting calls for fouls. He was like, you could see he almost like was ready to have his head explode. And this, which is why you love Spo. He's a beautiful maniac. He cares about, Hornets games more than anybody could care about Heat Hornets games. It's a beautiful thing. This is what makes him one of the greats. And he's just he and Kevin Love, their disgust with the officials was palpable and noticeable. That he's like, what are we doing? Zach Sarber, that was the head official for this particular game. But then Spo nearly lost his mind, and I don't even know if I could recreate this, because I can't throw up the video, obviously. But Eric Spoelstra is just absolutely disgusted with this no call, because LaMelo Ball goes to the rim. They call a foul on Bam, and Spo is just beside himself that LaMelo is carrying, which, of course, he was. He's LaMelo Ball. Like, LaMelo Ball is here for TikTok shots and carrying. That's what he does. He sells cool shoes. He does some fun stuff. He's going to carry the basketball. That's what LaMelo does. He's going to probably have some really wacky shots that you're going to make Steve Clifford go, completely psycho. But he does the cool stuff. The kids are happy. The kids love LaMelo. That's the dude. The kids love LaMelo. And so Spo is like looking at the official, and he's like, watch this. Boom, boom. Then he's like, he's palming the ball, and then just like disgust, and I can't even like get the Spo look of it, because he's like looking, he's like no looking with so he's like, it almost is like Spo's like, come on, you got to look at it. You're being distracted by him not looking around and not looking at him carrying the basketball. You need to be on it. And it was a beautiful, watch this. He's going boom, 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 Like Nuke LaLoosh, dude. I don't know. That's a pretty old reference. Some of the kids aren't going to get that. There's this movie, Bull Durham. It's one of the great sports movies. In Bull Durham, they tried to teach this phenom pitcher, Nuke LaLoosh, who had crazy heat, but he couldn't control the ball. They tried to get him to pitch almost like Dontrelle Willis, but like even more like it was actually the reference was Fernando Valenzuela back in the day, where he would turn and not look. And that's almost what Spo looks like here. He's just like, he's doing the no look with the carrying, and you're not even looking, ref. You're distracted by the willy-nilliness of LaMelo Ball. Pay attention. Stop falling for the razzle-dazzle kid stuff. You TikTok official. Will you pay attention and be a professional? You don't know what a legal dribble is. So anyway, Spo was upset about that. And, it was crazy. Now, the real show of it, though, flashy as LaMelo Ball may be, he's not Triple A Jota, all right? He is not Jaime Jaquez Jr. And Jaime Jaquez Jr., again, just what can you say about this kid tonight? Rookie continues to just shine and dazzle. 17 points tonight. Couple big jams. The vets were finding him. Jay Rich with a nice find to him. Kyle Lowry, he had this beautiful shooter's touch on one of his shots. He had this near beautiful move. It just rimmed out. That would have been on his all-rookie highlight package. But the biggest shot for him in this game, honestly, and it was Jimmy. Jimmy was trusting the rookie. The Heat were up. PJ Washington got a putback and one off a LaMelo Ball. One of those LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball has a brick. PJ Washington gets it, put back and one. Duncan Robinson with the foul. So they bring it to within 4. And Jimmy gets it near the end of the shot clock. Bang. Kicks it out to Jaime Jaquez. Hits a big onions 3. Now, look, the Hornets didn't go away. Bryce McGowan's hit his own three-pointer, and that's when after this you had the PJ Washington miss. This is when PJ Washington actually started to miss shots, and then Jimmy Butler, he sunk it with a big jumper, put the Heat up by 7, and that was probably the dagger. He would go to the free throw line a couple more times to really salt it away, but yeah, man, it was an entertaining game. I mean, the Hornets didn't go away; they kept bombing away threes, but the Miami Heat 2-0 in this in-season tournament, baby. And the Miami Heat have also ran their record to 7-4, and have now won 6 in a row since falling to 1-4 in that loss to the Brooklyn Nets. And somehow they're playing the Brooklyn Nets again I think it's because they played them once in the preseason, but they played the Nets once in the preseason at home. They played them already at home once, and they're playing the Brooklyn Nets again at home coming up on Thursday, and that'll be a brief stint because after Miami has Brooklyn at home, they go back out on the road for 5 more. 2 in Chicago over the weekend, in Cleveland, so they're away for the Thanksgiving holiday. Black Friday, they are in New York against the Knicks, and then the next day they're taking on the Nets. Let's just get all the Nets games out of the way and taking on the Nets once again. So one little brief stop, get your clothes, get your new outfits, try and win a game, keep this win streak going before you head out to the Windy City. But tonight, Miami Heat get it done once again. Really led by Jimmy Buckets. He was awesome tonight. I thought it was his best game of the season. And the Heat are a train right now, man. They do not stop rolling.